Hey guys, this is Matthew with another Alice 3.1 tutorial. So we are working on our introductory course. We're going through the Mars scene that's provided in Alice. And so far we've done scene setup, how to get your scene all looking nice and professional, how to rotate things or make characters, how to make cars and things with wheels move realistically. And then we went into how to do camera movement in Alice. Really good video. If you haven't watched the camera movement, go back and watch that, just because it's not covered too much, but camera movements are one of the most powerful, one of the coolest things you can do in Alice 3.1. Now today we are going to do a couple of videos on collisions. We're going to do basic collisions, and then we're going to do a little more advanced collisions. And I call that like collisions with properties, because we'll be combining properties with the collisions. So let's get started. So we've got our scene that we've been working on. We have the Mars rover and all the other characters. And the first thing you want to do is go into your initialize event listeners procedure. So to get to that, what you would do is you'd click on this and go to this, the word this, click on that, and then under procedures, this tab on the left, you'll go down to the third edit button, which is the initialize event listeners one. So you click on that and it'll open up the initialize event listeners procedure. So what we're doing today is we're gonna be creating collisions, right? So let me show you what collisions would do. So right now we've got our Mars rover set up, and we're going to let this camera movement get taken care of, and then I'm going to click inside the scene and I'm going to move the Mars rover towards this boulder over here. I think it's called boulder number 3 in our scene. So as he moves towards it, you can see that he's getting close. Now in real life, if you hit a rock, if you walk into a rock, you're not going to move. You're actually probably going to hit yourself and go backwards. If a car hits the median in a road, it'll bounce backwards. But in Alice, the different objects don't know where the other objects are by default. And that's true in a lot of different programs. So if I go forward, notice that he begins to pass right through the rock. It doesn't know what's happening. Now, hitting things in programming, that's called collisions. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to create a collision listener that listens for when our little rover tries to run into different objects. So I'm going to close this, and then down in this initialize event listeners that you got to by going to this and then clicking on this, opening up under procedures, initialize event listeners. So you open that, and then at the bottom there's this tab, add event listener. So click on that, go down to position and orientation, and add in the add collision start listener, and then choose custom array and click on it. So the first custom array is what's doing the movement. In our case, it's going to be just the red rover. So you just add the red rover and click OK, and then it opens up your second custom array. Now, for right now, I'm just going to demonstrate on one rock, or one of the boulders, boulder 3, which is this guy over here. So I'm going to click on that and click OK. And at the bottom of our screen, it's going to create the add collision start listener. And right here, what it says is, I'm listening for when the red rover runs into boulder number 3. And when that happens, when red rover runs into boulder number 3, execute whatever code is right here. Now right here by default we don't have any code, so we need to add some code to tell it what happens when there's a collision. So I'm going to click on the red rover, notice it changes right here, and I'm going to scroll down the procedures until I get to move. And I'm going to say when the red rover hits the boulder, it needs to bounce backwards by 1 meter. And I'm going to have it be really fast. So I'm going to set the duration to 1 1/10 or 0.1 seconds. So it'll hit it, and in 1/10 of a second it'll bounce back, which is natural. By default the duration is 1 second, which would be just too long if it hits it to bounce back. So let's see if this works. So we're gonna wait for that to happen. Okay, and then click in the screen so that your keyboard is activated, and then start moving towards that boulder. So he's moving towards it. You can see he's moving towards it a little bit closer, and we hit it and it bounces back. Did you see that? So let me do that again. I go forward and it hits it and bounces back. So that's exactly what we want. And right now notice it's working for this one, for boulder number 3, but we don't have it set up to work for any of the others. So if I move towards this plateau and this other boulder, what's going to happen is it's going to start moving straight through that. So the question that you might be thinking is, do I have to add a collision start listener for every single object in my scene? Because that's going to just take a lot of time, and it's going to be really repetitive because I'll just be creating the event listener and then adding just this one line of code. And the answer is no, you don't. Because right now, the listener is listening for when red rover runs into this boulder. But what we can do is we can add more objects to this second array. So I'm going to click on it, go down to custom array, and it opens up where we have it. I'm going to click the add button, and I'm going to add in the other objects. And this will take me a sec, but I didn't do 7, just sec. 7, plateau, plateau 2, plateau 3, and then the tree trunk, and even the Joshua tree. And then I'm going to click OK. And notice all of these other objects are added to this second array. So now what happens is this collision listener is listening for when the red rover hits any one of these objects, and it'll run this code. So I'm going to just test that out, and we'll see if it works. Let's wait for this to happen. And you know, that we set up that camera movement where we move up to where the alien has the view of the spacecraft and then move down. Let's just turn that off right now, because that's taking quite a bit of our time. So I'm going to move up here, and right now it has this delay, move and orient to the alien view, delay, move and orient to this start. So I'm going to right click on those and click on it to remove this check mark next to enabled. And that's just going to, notice how it's cross-hatched now. That means that it's no longer enabled, so when we run our program, these 4 things aren't going to happen. So now we were going to test out if it works for the other boulders. I'll click run, and then click in here to activate my keyboard control, and then just move towards, say, this boulder right over here. We move towards it, and we run back. We move towards it and run back. So it's actually doing exactly what it's supposed to. And let's try it with another one. We're just going to move towards this rock and this plateau, move towards it, and you see I bounce back. So I move towards it and I bounce back. So it looks like everything is working in our scene. So that's how to do collision start listeners, but there's a slight problem. This works when you're moving forward towards the boulder, but it won't work if you're moving backwards. Because if we run backwards into a boulder, it's still going to notice that there's a collision, and it's still going to move backwards, so you'll actually move farther into whatever object you were moving. So in our next video that I'm going to do in just a sec, we're going to do more advanced collisions, and that'll be collisions with properties, and that'll take care of that problem. So thanks for watching, and I hope you learned a lot about how to do collisions in Alice, and I'll see you in a sec.